3 million years from Earth, the Red Dwarf podcast thanks for the memory. Its crew, Blake Braswell, a USA native, and Lee Malaby, his English co-host. Additional. Because, as of recording, my wife is still in South Korea and we would watch it together, I am not, in fact, sitting down to discuss the first few episodes of Season 5 of Stranger Things, having binged the first 4 in a week and a half. I am, in fact, having to console myself in talking about a 30-year-old BBC comedy show instead. Smoke me a Demogorgon, I'll be back for breakfast. What's up, Smegheads, and welcome to Series 7 of Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast where we rewatch every episode of the BBC comedy show Red Dwarf and discuss them. Blake, how's it going, sir?
It is going extremely well.
Yeah, I wanted this podcast to sit in a bubble and not be kind of relevant to the time that we're recording them in, but I kind of had to.
I love it. It made me... It's weird because I just finished a rewatch myself of that and just got to the beginning of the 5th season. That is hysterical. But you know what? It's a throwback to the 80s and the late 80s.
That's true. I guess later we're 80s. In the 90s now, though, aren't we, with these episodes?
Yeah, we're definitely, oh man, talk about throwing off our intro in a way I hadn't thought about. We are so in the late 90s and you can feel it in this show, can't you?
Can you? I mean, you obviously have a specific reason.
Because I think it's that transition period where like the camera starts getting better, the screens are getting better. I did notice that the clarity was a lot clearer on these episodes. It's the first time I've kind of looked at it and gone, oh yeah, these don't look as grainy as those first few series. Well, and you also forget how early on they were not, when things were making the switch to some stuff starting to be shown in HD, they were still doing makeup and effects based on
how
quality. It used to look. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you definitely catch from time to time here a little bit. It's like things are a little too made up or whatever, but it's interesting. This is going to be an interesting episode. I think
the next two are, to be fair.
I agree. Oh my God. So where are we at? The episode, speaking of, that we were talking about is the Series 7, and it is our 5th episode, Blue, which originally aired in the UK on Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1997.
It's a really good episode to be out on Valentine's Day, actually.
It probably is. Lister is missing Rimmer very much and tries to recall the good times they had together and fantasize about Rimmer's return, which leads to Lister's hottest kiss yet. Not even the sirens can overdo it. Meanwhile, Crichton's rivalry with Kachansky reaches new heights as the salad cream keeps winding up in the cupboard and pants are found in her socks drawer. The crew are taken on a ride called the Rimmer Experience, which recounts many outrageously fictionalized events from Rimmer's life on Red Dwarf. Well, we both love football, and so there has been crossover football conversation that popped up in this pod. But I have worked for theme parks many a day, and you have another podcast discussing it, and we finally got an attraction into the Red Dwarf so that our worlds cross over just a little bit more.
Definitely. I mean, we will talk about that later for definite. There's a sound effect in that section that I very much appreciate. It takes me back to my childhood.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to know, because I did know that like there's something about that section that feels like you can kind of see the magic of how they're trying to make it look like this but there's a feeling that just feels right to me from like an attraction standpoint. So I'm curious to know what that is. Maybe this sound design is part of what helped create that.
This was such a strange episode because, so as you read in the synopsis there, the episode is primarily about Lister missing Rimmer, but it starts off something else entirely, and it comes out of absolutely nowhere. The first time Lister goes, Rimmer, are you coming with me? And he's like, oh, why did I say Rimmer? It comes out of nowhere.
So I know I refer to pacing a whole lot, and I brought it up in the very first season we first started watching. I was like, oh, this show's funny. The pacing's a little off because I feel like it's not quite the editing and stuff. They don't have the flow of how this cast is like doing these jokes yet, and the cast also not quite knowing how these jokes would land. And then it really keeps coming together each subsequent season, and it gets that feeling of tightness up through like Series 6. And there's something so weird about the pacing in this one and the next one we're going to talk about as well. And that moment actually hits on it, because it's weird to me. I can't remember what the beginning of the episode's about.
I can't at this point, to be fair.
Like, and I just rewatched it again. But you're right. Like, whatever they're doing is whatever fictitious story of the day. And then Lister's walking out of the cabin of Starbug. And the way that he goes, come on, Rimmer man, let's go, to Kat. I feel like in previous seasons, he would have left and Kat and Crichton would have turned to each other and be like, did he call me Rimmer?
Yeah.
And it would have like slowly started to drop in, sir, do you realize what you've been doing today? Like, but instead Lister is like, Rimmer, did I call you Rimmer? Why'd I do that? And there's something weird about.
No, that's a good point.
It's like it gets to the character has a problem and the character understands his own problem so quickly.
Yes.
Where I feel like in the old days, that would have been part of the episode.
Yeah, they could have started feeding into it. And then, because like I say, it's not referenced at all until that specific moment. And it comes, like I say, it literally comes out of nowhere. It's so odd.
Now I'm losing my mind. Lee, what's the plot? I literally just watched this again. What is the through line plot?
At the beginning, I genuinely don't remember.
Oh my God, that is insane. I mean, I'm telling you, 2 hours ago, I was playing this episode and it's already out of my mind. I cannot.
Because it starts off, doesn't it, with the whole, it basically, Lister's cleaning his shoes, or is that the second one? I'm confused now.
Yeah, no, he's starting cleaning his shoes. You're right. You're right. Yes.
Because then he starts going on about complaining about her that should be drooled over, which I love that reference. I love that. Oh, her that should be drooled over, sir.
And you know what? That's why it's forgettable, because the opening gags about Kochanski stuff, we've been doing this a bunch already with Crichton, to where I totally forgot. Like that's what we're doing. So the first note I took on my subsequent viewings, not the initial one, but I wrote this down first, but maybe I should save it till the end. But I think I'm going to say it now because I feel like it's what's come up. I feel like this concept of this him and missing Rimmer should have been the next to last episode of this series and not the next one after Rimmer. Well, it's not
like two
it's
after.
It's not quite.
It? Yeah.
Yeah.
It should have been left a few episodes before you then bring it up, because he hasn't really had chance to miss him yet.
No, because we did Duck Soup and he still feels he's just left. We're getting to know Kochanski. If anything, this would have been a perfect spot to put the equivalent of Marooned, but with Crichton and Kochanski stuck together or something like that, to like bring their thing to a head and maybe some kind of an understanding or whatever. I mean, basically, it feels like what they want to do is do to Crichton and Kochanski what they had done to Rimmer and Lister the first few seasons. But they don't. They keep acting like we have done that, but haven't. And it feels like, if this had been later, because I feel like the danger with this is, where did I put this here? It's a dangerous concept to keep referencing how fun things were when Rimmer was there.
When you're trying to get used to a new character,
Yes. Yeah, and so you're literally having Lister saying how great it was, and you're not really playing up the idea of Crichton being like, sir, you are sick. Like that first episode where he's like, wakes up from the cryo sleep, and it's like your memories are coming back to you. He's like, Rimmer, I know his name. He's my best mate, right? He's like, sir, you are sick.
You're completely undermining Kochanski's place in it at this point, and you've just introduced her as this brand new character who, well, as we know, she's going to be in it for quite a while.
Well, and I literally started to feel so bad for Chloe and Annette watching this, because you're like, this sucks, man, because it is undermining her completely, and feels like, if memory serves correct, I don't think it could be the last episode. I feel like the last episode's about a cliffhanger. I can't remember, but the next to last, once you had established a sort of status quo, it seems like this would be a thing to do. I mean, hell, even be a better first episode of the subsequent season, although I don't think it would quite work with what they're doing story-wise. But like, it just seems really, and literally to have Lister say, it was so fun who was there. And then not only that, does anyone get this reference? I put, reminds me of the death of Optimus Prime. So, because they killed Optimus Prime in the 1986 Transformers movie, and all these kids freaked out.
Yes.
And then they promised he would return later. And on the TV show, they brought him back. But they brought him back with his body as this infection that was bad. He was a bad, evil zombie that they had to destroy again. And then a third time later, that he really came back. And when List Rimmer shows up again after being like, yeah, he was in a couple flashbacks in this episode, but then he literally, we think, comes back.
Yeah.
And as you're like, man, but then not really. You reminded me so much of that. Optimus Prime will return. Don't worry, kids. And I was like, oh my God, no, I just watched him die again. Like it's, I don't know. It's just weird. It really does cut the legs out from establishing Kachansky.
It really does.
If there is a failure, which they'd have to really fix it in episodes 7 and 8, they do not give her a chance to lock in like they did with the rest of the crew.
No, that's true. Well, he was an even more interesting fact then, Blake, to go along with what you've just said, something I've referenced in here. So, was it episode 2 when Kachansky came back and Crichton shrunk her PVC outfit because apparently they'd had too much hassle with the crew, like, staring at her? She has that outfit on in this episode.
I noticed that. Isn't this the episode, though, or is the next one she's making one again? Or I noticed that, too.
Because in the next spoilers, in the next episode, she doesn't have it on. She has a different outfit. So the interesting fact is that we were supposed to get to that episode where Crichton shrunk it, so moving forward, she wasn't wearing it, but then we're 2 episodes removed from that in the future, and she's still wearing that outfit.
Yeah.
So this episode potentially was filmed, so they've filmed them in an order and then put them out in a different order, because if you go by the continuity of the show, she shouldn't have that PVC outfit at this point because it's been shrunk. So this episode, if you want to take it in the continuity of the show, this episode should have been even earlier than it is, which is even more ridiculous, because it should have come before the episode where where Crichton shrunk that outfit.
It feels like we're sticking in stuff so a joke can happen. I know that sounds so stupid, writing a comedy show.
No, I know, but we've talked about it on the show for so long that yes, there's not an overarching story really. I mean, there was, and that's completely gone by the wayside. The overarching story was all the crew are dead. They're just left on there, and they're trying to get back to Earth. At this point, that's completely forgotten about. So they just, like you said, they've accepted where they are, and they're just trying to survive in space. But it always felt like there was a continuity between each episode, even if it was just for each series.
Doesn't it feel like this one should have had an overarching story, not in the way of like a modern Doctor Who or whatever, but like a through line should have been, sorry, Chris, we've given up on finding Red Dwarf, right? That was the previous season, like trying to find Red Dwarf. And then,
it doesn't even be mentioned now.
And so why not have made this then? Okay, Chris, we're going to get you back home.
Oh, that was how it started. She was supposed to be, they'd found another rift in space and they were going to take her, and he ballsed it up.
Wait, is that this one or is that the next one?
I think that's this one.
Oh, that is this one. Wait, I think I wrote that down. See, this is what's bad, because it tells you something's off when we're not.
We have no idea what the actual episode in chronological order was.
Yeah, I think
I'm starting to understand why a lot of people see. I had such high hopes for this series. Sort of getting through the first 2 episodes, I'm like, these feel like old school Red Dwarf, and then 3 and 4 were like, it still kind of feels like that, but a little off. These 2 are just weird.
Oh, you're correct.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, it just popped into my head. Yeah, because they were trying to get her across space or wherever it was to the other rift to get her back to her Dave.
So again, I know it's like Monday morning quarterbacking, as we say here in the US, to look back, and it's so easy to pick a choice. But I feel like if that had been a through line, because instead it pops up a couple of times, but if that had been a through line, and then say your next to last episode or last episode, they really could have gotten her back to her old crew, but something happens where Kochanski makes the choice to stay with them.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it would establish her as part of the crew because Rimmer, Lister, they each had moments, and it was more so maybe for Rimmer to like come back and go, I'm part of the crew. I mean, the problem with series 6 is the ending is so good. Rimmer, honest to God, becomes a hero as everyone dies around him, and he goes and he makes the thing happen.
Perfect send-off for him.
And in a weird way, it's even more perfect because he doesn't get to relish in being the hero because it kind of wiped out the timeline, you know? So like, there's something funny that, but he does come because he kept like just not being right. He kept deucing out on the team later. I'm out, you know, if he had a chance to like Rimmerworld where he used it to escape instead of being in a battle or whatever. But it would have been cool to have her actually choose because instead it just happened to be that this Dave, our prime Dave, whatever you want to call him, Lister, is the one that was able to rescue her by shooting with her harpoon. And I don't know. I guess we're all over the place for talking about
absolutely.
The order of this. I will say now that my memory is jogged better. So the opening bit about Crichton complaining about Kochanski and stuff, I did write down like the Hermann Goering gag is such a lingerie gag. It's such a Red Dwarf thing.
It is because he loves that. It's like he loves his Nazi references. He loves his Hermann Goering references. It's like the whole salad. Have you ever had salad cream, by the way? Like I have to ask.
Well, so I'm sitting watching salad cream. So is this just salad dressing?
Look, I can't even describe what it is because you guys have nothing even remotely like it. It is the weirdest thing. Tracy, my wife, absolutely will put salad cream on anything, and I must admit, I love it. But trying to compare it to something, I mean, I'm sure you'd be able to get it in the US.
Oh, look at this. A British condiment, similar to a mayonnaise, but with a tangier, more acidic flavor from vinegar.
I wouldn't even say it's like, man, it kind of like, texture-wise, I guess it is, but it's not. You guys have nothing like it. I'm sure you have sort of international stores where you can buy British. Well, I know they do. I know they have them in Orlando where you can buy like British stuff in there. And I'm sure around the US for transplants from the UK have got it. So I'm sure you could buy a bottle of it somewhere. But to try and compare it to something that you guys have, I don't think you have anything even remotely like it. And it is one of those debates of do you keep it in the cupboard or do you keep it in the fridge? And it's such a 1990s reference. So again, going back to Doug Naylor's stuff, it's a very British joke.
Fish finger sandwiches with salad cream. Oh my God, I'm just looking up all the different things people eat with this. And people even going, why is it called salad cream? No one uses it in a salad. They do it with different stuff.
I mean, you do sometimes. One of my favorite sandwiches is cheddar cheese, onion, and salad cream. It's amazing, by the way.
That sounds so English to me.
Oh, and it is. It's amazing. I love it. I love the whole conversation about, have you ever tried to iron a bra, sir? Something about the containers. I love that he calls them containers.
Containers.
And he's like, no, the cups. What? Cups. They call cups, not containers. See, I have to learn all this new lady language. It's brilliant. I love that he calls them containers and that he puts them on his head to iron them and then it gets referenced by Kochanski. It's funny. They come out shaped just like your head. And that's the thing that the more I thought about it, the more we're discussing this episode, it really doesn't feel like a cohesive episode. It's a combination of visual gags and jokes put together into an episode.
Yes. And so I think this gets to as we talk about once Rob Grant and Doug Naylor split off and then they each wrote their own books. And I remember reading the books like I told you and going, oh, you can really tell who is responsible for what kind of story with each one. And I'm guessing based off what we've seen so far, Doug Naylor had like, we got to get our jokes in. And Rob Grant might be more your story guy.
It's like initially when we started talking about this series, I felt like a lot of the stuff that I loved about Red Dwarf was Doug Naylor. But the more we're starting to get through, maybe they were, right? Maybe this is the problem. Maybe Doug Naylor, Rob Grant left, Doug Naylor started to come in. I'll come in. So let's reference. So the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. This is Go With Me, Blake, right? So a huge Sam Raimi fan growing up, like a huge Sam Raimi fan. He had a very definite style of how he liked to film stuff. You could tell his style a million miles away. And you watch that Spider-Man and it doesn't feel like a Sam Raimi film. But they offered him it, he took it, and he went, right, I'm just going to do a run-of-the-mill bog standard Spider-Man movie. And he did it, and it did really well. And then they gave him the second one. And the second one, where he gone, well, they like me now, so now I can put my stamp on it. And the second one feels like a Sam Raimi film.
Yes,
maybe that's
I agree with
this with Doug Naylor, that he wanted to come in and I want to kind of keep the status quo a little bit, so I'm going to do some sort of normal-ish episodes that have a bit more my style in it, a bit less Rob Grant. And then he did a few more after that where he went a little too Doug Naylor. And he's starting, because he hasn't got Rob Grant to kind of rein him in, he's gone full Doug Naylor at this point. Does that make sense?
Yes. And it might not even be a conscious thing. It might just be you don't have the other person
to rein you in.
You know, right. I'm trying to think of like good famous examples, right? But like, well, we were talking about theme parks earlier, and this has got a theme park reference. The combination of Walt Disney and his brother Roy Disney, right? Roy was the money guy in finance, and Walt was the dreamer.
Yes.
So his foot's on the gas, and his brother's foot is on the brakes, making sure they can keep sustainable.
Yes.
And that combo was great, and recreating it, it's like impossible. Like how do you that? So I feel like that kind of a combo is probably something that I don't even know if consciously Doug Naylor, he's probably not even like screw, Rob's not here right now, so I'm going to do this.
Yes,
it's probably just nature of at 6 seasons you had to have known each other so well. You're bouncing off each other and the cast so much, and now you got a new cast. You've got but it does kind of feel like some of those bigger questions. Like we talked about how, we got deeper than we thought we were going to get in those first 3 series of Red Dwarf, because we, not being a kid anymore and sitting there watching going, man, what's remarkable is the stories of these 3 characters, Kat, Lister, and Rimmer. They're all very sad. Their backstories are very sad. And they're in an inherently sad space, which there is now, there is something I do miss about the dun, 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 opening.
But that fit those episodes when you look back at what you've just said there. Yeah, it does.
And so then there's always been a feeling of like in the previous, we got to go find Red Dwarf. We got to find Red Dwarf. And like, it feels like that has been dropped so quick in series 7.
Yes.
If maybe we've picked up the idea that we want to get Kachansky home, but not really, because it's always centered around Lister screwing up that chance, which I wrote this down. Do you remember you and I had a problem a little bit with series 3? Was it Body Swap is what it was called?
Yes. Yeah, we hated that episode. Our worst reviewed episode so far.
So far, he said, knowingly. But and beyond just the choice they made to we'll record each other's dialogue instead of just trying to talk with our own voices and style, which I think would have elevated that show a lot. It would have
been hilarious, yes.
But we had a big problem with, where is it at here? I wrote the problem with this, with Dave constantly screwing this up for Kachansky getting back. I said, this is like when Rimmer took over Lister's body, and we both thought, this has gone so far, I'm not sure how the team comes back from this and trust Rimmer.
Yes.
Because it was a gag that then went so far that based on everything we'd seen the show up until that point, while it wasn't serialized, it felt weird that they'd just be cool with Rimmer after that.
Yes.
It was pretty screwed up, like what he did, and there wasn't. It was like just an edge too far, and I feel like that's the same thing with this. Is that you want to like Lister? To me, the Lister we have had for 6 series would absolutely do his best to get her back.
Yeah, because you've always said, hasn't he, with that heart of gold.
Right. In the meantime, he might try to convince her that she'd rather stay with him. But I don't think he would sabotage.
No. But did he sabotage it on purpose? You don't actually find out in this episode whether he did or he didn't. They accuse him of it, but you don't actually know if it's not played out that yes, he did, and that he did, and they know he did, or he knows he did and you know he did, and they think he did.
And there's a bigger problem with the episode too. So even if they make the choice to say he did it on purpose, or he was really trying to do everything he could to help her, because they don't commit and show you which way that is.
Yes.
It's uninteresting, and you're like, I don't know how she doesn't hate him. Did you see that movie? What was that movie with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence where they were on?
Oh, I love that movie. I love that movie.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's called Passengers. I literally watched it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I adore. But yes, because she he wakes her up because he's lonely. And she does. When she finds out, she hates him with a passion for ages. But then how would you ever... I suppose you'd have to, I don't know, maybe you'd have to come to terms with it at some point. But yes, I love that movie.
And I'm not sure, and I'm not that the show isn't not a dramatic show, but I kept thinking of that Passengers Day, watching it on my subsequent viewing of like, I feel like Kochanski would need to have that kind of, she is so calm. Like, well, you cock this up.
Yes.
Like it's just weird to me. Like, so does it matter? Does she want to come back? We're not getting any, we haven't gotten some story like again, I keep going back to if there was a Marooned type episode with Crichton where like Kochanski tells Crichton, actually things were falling apart with our Dave,
yes.
my Dave, and it was bad, but I can't let this Dave know that, or he'll think that there's a chance here. Or something,
yes.
where you'd be like, oh, there's some weird, like, and then all of a sudden Crichton's like helping her out. And Dave's like, what the,
yeah.
Like that. And that idea to me feels like series 4, 5, 6 of Red Dwarf.
Because the thing is, like, she's like, oh, I guess I'm not going back. And she's like, oh, I really want to go. I really want to get back to this, that, and the other. But it never feels like desperation. Do you know what I mean? If she feels like, yes, I want to go back, but it's not like, oh my God, I need to go back. I can't stay here any longer. She never feels that bothered by it.
No, what's funny? Now it's going back to Body Swap again. I'm thinking about the episode we liked the least. We actually talked about how the opening premise that the computer was leading to a countdown and going to kill them all on the ship.
Yes.
We were like, that actually should have been the entire episode to get to a Queeg-like punchline at the end of, here's the nutty bar.
Yes.
Or
whatever it was, yeah. And it went, again, this feels like that episode where it starts isn't where it ends up. I think this episode, they had Doug Naylor and his team of writers or whatever, he had an idea of like, I want to do a Rimmer experience. He had a dream, right? This prophetic dream one night of the Rimmer experience. Like, oh my God, need to write that down. We need to do that. But how do we get there? And this is what he came up with. So the whole episode is geared around this Rimmer experience because that's what he wanted to do, because that sounds hilarious. And let's be honest, that end 5 or so minutes is what probably stops this episode from being one of the worst episodes. It's
literally the only thing you kind of remember when it's all said and done.
Brilliant, let's be honest. It is awesome, that end 5 minutes.
But it's the same, I had to go check. It's Ed By directing, so it's a classic Red Dwarf director. Yep. I don't know why the pacing is so weird. Is this again back to they're no longer filming in front of a live studio audience? And so, because Lister's delivery, just slow, like just very like, I don't know, man, I'm sad. And I get like trying to play the depressed about his friend, but maybe you really realize Lister is no good as the main character of this show. That the main character of the show is Rimmer and Lister.
Yes.
And the idea that even he was brought back because he'll keep you sane.
Good point. He doesn't have that person because Kochanski's not that for him. Kat's not that for him. Kat's more his buddy. We get very little. I think you mentioned it like an episode or two ago. There used to be a lot of like Cat references of just kind of poking fun at Lister, and you don't get that anymore. They're kind of friends now. There might be the odd one here and there. Crichton's still very much his butler, I guess. So there isn't that person that he has that relationship with like he did with Rimmer. Yeah,
and I don't think I think, unfortunately, it's hard to separate. And I get it. Look, I'm not...
You got 6 seasons of that relationship.
Chris Berry, he was doing the Brita Empire, and he had stuff going on, and you want to make a living for you and your crew. Yeah. I don't begrudge making this series by any stretch of the mean, but it does kind of feel like if you knew that you were not going to have Chris Berry, I feel like you go,
let's hold off.
We don't start filming until we are solid with the second, third, or the 70% of this series without him.
Yes.
That even if people go, I miss him, but I see what they're going for. I see what they're doing here. I do think there's a missed opportunity they're playing lip service to Crichton and Kochanski. The problem is the feeling isn't mutual.
No, she doesn't hate him like he hates her.
Yes. And that would be great because like I don't know if it was this episode or the next one I wrote it down, but like Crichton used to be the know-it-all. Once he got with these guys who were a bunch of idiots, that's the person that actually knew what was going on. And now he's regressed, but it's not in a way that obviously feels like, oh, he knew some stuff, but she actually has her stuff together more. It just feels like he regressed.
No, I completely agree. He's gone back to the service mechanoid now. He is 100% a service mechanoid and nothing else. You're right. Until you've mentioned that, I never even noticed because Kachansky's now the one that they go to for all the kind of scientific stuff. And Crichton's just about ironing bras and putting pants in sock drawers. And
so then you go, is this a Rob Grant thing too? Like what? Because you series 6, the allusions to him actually doing job as the service mechanic are like when he gets smushed into the square. I can't remember, it's 5 or 6, and he comes out serving tea or whatever. Or like when he made Lister think he was a robot because of the whole thing. And he's like, sorry, sir, here's a pint of lager. Here's all, trying to apologize. Like, or Rimmer calling him Captain Bogbot, because most of the time he just is part of the crew now. And he's like almost really the missing, if you're going to use Star Trek parlance, like the scientific officer, like that's who he becomes. And he is fascinated by science, the way that he's like, oh, we get to see this, or, even that great, we're in 15th century, 16th century space. So some of the progress he made is gone. Completely. It makes sense that Lister is struggling by missing Rimmer. Yes. Why does Crichton change?
It's like, how many times have I said there's certain scenes with Crichton that he plays it completely straight. Like, I love the which episode where they have to justify their existence? Which episode's that again? Where they go on to like the prison planet and they have to the Inquisitor. Which is it? The Inquisitor.
Inquisitor?
Yeah. And they have to justify why they're there, and like it's all a whole like Katz is a joke, like, because I've got a great ass. But then Crichton's is like, I don't have to justify my existence, sir. And it plays it so straight and so clever. And you're right, he has reverted back to a comedy mechanoid, and it seems like such a step back. It feels like. And this is why I love doing this with you, Blake, because I have these things in my brain, but I'm not clever enough to kind of verbalize them or at a lot of point. But then when you start bringing it to the fore, it makes me look at it more, and you go, you're right. This series feels like, I don't know how, like what the timeline was with them. Like, right, we're writing this series, and then suddenly Chris Barry goes, oh, by the way, I can only be in like one episode and I'll do you a couple of flashbacks. How soon before they started filming did they know that? Because it feels like potentially he turned round after 2 episodes and went, oh, sorry guys, I'm leaving. And they were like, oh crap, what do we do now?
And the truth is, the BBC could have said, here's your money, here's when you have to do it. And they went, oh crap. Like you said, I never want to, I am never knocking creators or writers or whatever, because I also understand there are a million outside factors that you have nothing to do. I mean, I've done it for the work I used to do down in Florida and stuff, where people go, why do this? You're like, well, what you don't know is that was part of the plan, but whatever changed.
Budget cuts or this or that or the other or whatever.
That, a stupid pandemic gets in the way and you know what I mean? Like, so stuff happens, we even talked about the one episode a couple of series ago where I was like, God, this one feels off. And then finding out they filmed it with little to no rehearsal because they were losing the studio that day or whatever. Right. And you go, oh, funny. Cause the whole episode, the timing is not good. So stuff happens. I might be stealing this from my next episode as well, but it's almost like we have said this so frequently, how weirdly because we always do 2 at a time, that they are stuck together in a way that makes sense. Yes. And I feel like 5 and 6 make sense too.
Well, they're both terrible.
They're but like, and
they're both not great.
I thought about, you and I had the realization on watching the series 7, and we first watched episode 1 or 2, going, oh wait, there's 8 episodes in this series, not 6. And you know what? I think I'll ruin what I was going to bring up in the next episode, but between this and 6 coming together and how they are, they might not have had the material for 8 episodes, and maybe 6 was what they needed to do. But if you're given the money to do 8 and everybody gets paid more, I get why you do it.
I'm very interested to watch those last 2 episodes because I've looked at the titles of them. I have no memory of them.
Same.
And if these, it's like I said, the first 2 episodes, I was like, all right, I kind of like where this is going. Maybe Doug Naylor's the stuff that I like about Red Dwarf. I really enjoyed them. 3 and 4, okay. Not quite as good as the first 2, but still, I'm enjoying them. 5 and 6, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
7 and 8, we shall see.
I'll take a break from.
I was going to say,
we're not bashing, but
we haven't actually talked about any of the specifics, like jokes or anything in the episode so far. We've just kind of said this could have been a lot better than it actually was.
Well, I did catch some things I thought were funny. I don't know if you noticed, but in the flashbacks of Rimmer playing golf, and what a weird, again, God, I hate to keep, but they're like, we had a lot of fun, man. And I thought, surely you'll flash back to old episodes of the Red Dwarf,
no,
but instead,
they did whole new stuff.
They refilmed, they filmed new flashbacks that aren't funny. They aren't good. Like,
it did feel like an early episode, didn't it? Like, thanks for the memory when they're on the planet and they're playing golf. It did feel like that.
It felt a little bit, yes, it felt a bit like that. And they're on an asteroid with low gravity. But have you noticed, like, Lister's spacesuit has no glass in the panel, so you can see his face.
I didn't notice that.
It cracked me up. I noticed it on the subsequent viewing, not the very first one. But I was laughing because he turns his head to the side, and so you see it profile. I was like, there is no plexiglass or anything.
I never noticed. There's a weird reference in the beginning of this. I can't remember why they mention it, but they talk about potato salad. And Kat goes, what is it, the creamy, horrible stuff in tins or the other stuff? She says,
is it the chunky, like, delicatessen or the creamy stuff in cans, tins? Yeah.
I have never in my entire life seen potato salad in a tin.
I mean, I haven't, but I can only imagine it would be gross and exactly how described.
Because, like, if I went to buy potato salad from the supermarket, it would come in like a little plastic tub. I've never seen it in my entire life in a tin.
Tinned potato salad is available and can be made from a can of whole potatoes in the UK. Is that what it means? Like, you made it from the tinned potatoes?
No, they said the weird stuff that's in tins. I don't know, it's odd. Did you notice anything about I tell you what was funny though, Blake. You said the weird flashbacks that they did. The locker roulette I thought was quite funny, and it's something I could really see Rimmer and Lister doing together, of basically just random picking lockers and seeing what's left inside them. I thought that was quite funny. But did you notice the lockers
Very
themselves? Right? Did you notice something? I was like, those lockers can't be real. So there's one bank of lockers. I think it's the one where Rimmer the fire comes out of it, right? So I'm going to have to do this for you, Blake. You're going to have to look because I can't describe it any other how. So anybody listening, kind of stay with me, right? So you've got a bank of lockers this way, Blake, yes? And you've got doors here and a door on the other side here. There's also a door on this end here. How is that possible?
Oh, wait. Okay, say it again. This means nothing to anybody listening, but do it again.
So if you imagine like a block of lockers, and the lockers would be doors on either side. Yep.
Right.
So you'd open the locker and the locker, but there's a locker door. There's locker doors on the end of it as well. So the problem is when
you're right. Oh my God, you're so right. When he opens up and the fire hits him, there is one there instead of just being a blank wall.
But how would that be possible? Where does that locker go to?
Oh my God. Yeah, that would have to be a TARDIS locker.
It would be impossible.
You can't. Now I have to go back and look at it. And it's the gag that's shown in the opening reel or whatever with him getting blasted with the fire. I know it's
just a stupid thing. And it's like that scene as well. You could see how low budget was. They'd obviously made or managed to find these block of lockers because the background is just black. You know, like you said about the AR
Well, have you noticed that a lot?
A lot of Rimmer experience was a lot of that was there was nothing. Yeah, I think they were really trying to save budget on this one. So maybe they didn't have enough budget for 8 episodes then, Blake, and they've cut corners to make sure they could get 8 episodes out of it. I wonder what the reasoning for doing 8 episodes was when we've only previously done 6.
Oh, now you make me want to do research. I may have to look into this for our next series of episodes
Blake,
we do.
As someone who's done not this type of thing, but a similar type of thing in the real world, would you rather? So you get a budget. bearing in mind that you've done 6 series already with 6 episodes, so you get this budget, do you put that budget and spread it across 6 episodes and make those 6 episodes look better? So here we go, Blake. Here we go. Let's bring your past up. So Blake, you get your budget for Halloween Horror Nights, and normally you do 10 houses every year, and you get the same budget this next year, but you think, hey, should we do 12 houses this year? Or do you still put that budget into 10?
Yeah, that's the thing. It'll deflate the whole thing if you put it into the 12 instead of the 10. And I know like budgets for TV are weird because usually it'll be per episode. It won't be a lump budget, right? And so that's where I'm thinking, well, these people to get paid and all this stuff, you'd have to do. And it could have been this may not have been a Doug Naylor request. It could have been the BBC saying, hey, we want 8 episodes.
But why?
Well, I mean, who knows? Is it an advertiser thing? Is it?
It's on the BBC, so there's no adverts there.
Oh, that's true. But we can. Is it for selling more for the DVD thought or like? Yeah, I don't know. Like,
it's such a weird thing, especially so far in. That's what I'm saying. You're 6 series in at this point. Why suddenly go to 8 episodes?
Was 6 episodes? Is there a timeline thing there where like in the 80s, late 80s, the 6 episode series was more normal and were shows expanding to 8?
Maybe. I couldn't tell you with any degree of accuracy, like because we talked about it, didn't we? We talked about it a lot, didn't we? That like the last sort of 5 to 10 years, everything was like 24 episodes a series. Yes. And now we're slowly going back to that 6, 8, 10, which I much prefer, I'll be honest.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, we're going back to that now, aren't we? Where it's not 24. Like you would watch a series of whatever, The Office or Friends or whatever, and they all had 24 episodes, and yet you look at something like what did we watch recently? Murderbot was like what, 8 episodes, 6 or 8?
It may have been 8, but it may have been just 6. Yeah, it wasn't long. Yeah,
and it didn't feel worse for it. So it shows that you can just do. How many episodes are in? To go back to what we talked about at the beginning, how many episodes are there in this series of Stranger Things?
It's 4, then they're going to release 3, then 1. So technically it's 8.
So 8, there you go.
8 and 9. I think one series was 9.
Okay.
But other than that, most of them have been 8. Yeah, I
much prefer that.
I would, looking back, have asked for, can I please have a show budget in 6 episodes instead?
Yeah.
However, because it's easy to also say, not knowing how things are, going, hey, man, if you had taken a long break and you knew you were bringing Red Dwarf back, man, you'd need to come out swinging into a really strong show. And why does this feel like it's not as set up? Well, it can be one of 2 ways. I don't know why it was such a long gap. Let's say, I know there was whatever happened between Rob Grant and Doug Naylor that they had their split, but you're asking for money, you're not getting it, you want to do it, you're not getting it. And then there is probably a real reality, Lee, where you've got ideas floating around, but you're not going to do so much work on them because you're not getting paid to do them. And then something happens. The BBC says, yes, we'll do it. We can slot in here. We need 8 episodes. Here's your budget. Oh, crap, go. And they have to just put this thing together, which does make sense the way there isn't. Maybe that's why there isn't a clean break from Rimmer the way you feel like it needs to be, or like you almost feel like you needed to. Well, they kind of reintroduced the whole premise in episode 1, didn't they? And then they got rid of Rimmer in episode 2. So I was going to say you almost need to get rid of Rimmer in episode 1, but really they were trying to reset up the whole step. But then why do that if it's all going to change?
Did he leave in 2 or was it 1?
He left in 2 because 1 was Ticket to Ride.
Oh, you're right. It was. That's weird. Oh my God, that shows you how weird this series is. Because in my brain, I had the riding the crocodile thing as episode 1 because Ticket to Ride feels so detached from this season at this point.
Ticket to Ride feels the most, and I, it definitely feels more like coming out of series 5 and 6, where they had a lot of adventures not on Starbug, not on Red Dwarf, but like getting around doing stuff. And it's a weird limitation to being stuck on. So on Red Dwarf, the ship was big enough that you actually could not go to other places and do all sorts of stuff on the ship. Starbug is smaller. And so while they were on the quest for Red Dwarf, they kept doing things like whatever, Rimmer Worlds, and they would go to places and be off ship for stuff. Even Maroon, that's series 3, but like, it's still on Starbug, but like you're not on Red Dwarf, right? You're out over here. And now Ticket to Ride is like that because it does, you go through the past and all these different places. The rest of these are much more condensed. We talk about Duck Soup kind of being a bottle episode where they saved some funds. But then, I mean, kind of feels like this is the same except for the Rimmer experience, right? I mean, it's a
very weird episode.
Just on the ship.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got one for you. Are your English, are all our British listeners around here, are you familiar with the fact that pants means something different to us? I'm going to guess that you know that.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so for us, pants is trousers.
Yeah, no.
So as a kid, when I saw, kid, but even in my early 20s, when I finally saw Series 7 and Kat's like looks at Crichton's like, you've seen her pants? And I was just like, yeah, you have too.
Yeah.
I did not.
Right, that's funny. Yeah, of course. That's funny. Yeah, and why would you keep your pants in a drawer? Like you keep on hangers in the wardrobe. Yeah, that's funny.
I was so confused that the first time I had seen that, or just like why it was a gag.
It's funny that I said to you before we started this episode that I had so many notes, and we have gone off on such a weird tangent, which we haven't done in a long time, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. But we haven't actually talked about the nuances of this episode really at all. Just how weird it was, and I think that was the right call. It's just an odd episode, but there's some really weird jokes in there as well. There was a reference to glow-in-the-dark tampons. Not sure what the point of them is, but okay.
Oh, right. Jeez, that's already gone in and out of my head because it popped up and I can't remember what its context was.
Again, Doug Naylor likes his German Nazi references, so when Crichton's loading supposed to be like his condolence tape into like or
hypnotherapy.
Is that what it is? And he starts doing his Hitler speech from Nuremberg.
I wrote down here, I do love a good harsh sounding German language.
Oh yeah, me too.
Joke.
I love German. Just suits me down to the ground. It's such an angry language. I love it. But yeah, this whole episode for me is just geared around that Rimmer experience at the end, and it's.
And I wrote this, even though the Rimmer experience is a positive. But right before I wrote this down, and it will play into next episode as well. The AR suite feels like a get out of jail free card to me when it comes to creativity.
Because they can just do that and do anything.
Yeah, we'll just do that
in the next episode.
And I'm like, and while we always talked about, man, the idea of virtual reality games does pop up a lot in Red Dwarf, but it is back to reality. It is the becoming of the apocalypse. It's very specific. It wasn't just something that are better than life that they just keep coming back to. And now it's like this artificial reality thing, the way it is on the ship. I'm like, why don't you just live in that thing?
Yeah.
It's
like Avatar.
They created the holodeck from Star Trek, basically, is in more ways than it had ever been prior. Like it seemed very limiting. And then they kick off this series with, I guess not kick it off, but when you get to Ouroboros and stuff with the knights and everything, I don't know. We don't have to be creative. We can just... Yeah,
we want to do something and we just chuck them in there. I mean, that's... spoilers, we're going to talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah, and I have thoughts with it there, but I forgot that I did actually write the note down here as well. So, should we get to the kiss heard around the world and the Rimmer experience?
Yeah, I genuinely thought that was happening and not a dream.
So I remember the feeling because again, remember, as far as I was concerned, it had ended at Series 6, 2004. I was living in Japan and was like, there's a 7th series. And I watched that episode and was losing my mind at that moment. And again, to cut the legs out from Kachansky, the problem with that scene, they play it so well with each other.
Yes.
It's so good. And the chemistry is so much better than anything else. But I'm going to say the chemistry is better than any of them.
But then the chemistry should be better with them two because they've spent the most amount of time together for the previous 6 series.
They have, but I do feel like... I feel like the chemistry between Lister and Crichton and Lister and Kat have taken a step back.
Agreed.
You feel like they shouldn't. Like, why not... I don't understand what happened there and the path that they're sort of, it's basically Crichton has become the thing Rimmer always accused him of being.
Yeah.
But when he was with them, you were like, that's not true. But now
he is.
Like that whole view of Crichton wearing the checkered bonnet and the apron and stuff.
Yeah.
That is kind of what he is. But that scene leading to the kiss, the two of them, brilliant.
Yeah.
Just brilliant.
Because you look, the more you've talked about it, Kochanski doesn't really have a relationship with anybody on the ship right now. She barely talks to Kat. She really doesn't really talk to Crichton much either. Or Lister, for that matter. She doesn't have a meaningful relationship, good or bad, with anybody from her perspective, with anybody on the ship at this point. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's really weird.
They literally just brought her back to fill in for the fact that Rimmer's not there, but she pales in comparison because she hasn't really been... It's not Chloe Annette's fault. They haven't really given her anything to do.
So you think about like Rimmer annoyingly, okay, look, everybody's dead. Everyone's dead, Dave. And Rimmer's like, let's go work out in the morning or whatever. And like, dude, what is the point? Like,
yeah.
But like, you feel like and you'd have to be careful because you don't want it to be like she is replacing him and acting the same.
Yes.
But because she's got her stuff together, you feel like there is something missing or an episode missing where she's like, all right, everybody up. It's like that one with Rimmer when he does the, it's a red alert. And he's trying to get the guys to get their timing down,
Yeah.
But you feel like, not that she would be doing it, the way to do it, I feel like would be to do it in a way that's real. Rimmer was trying to seem important and let her act that way. Be like, wait, you guys, it's like 8 a.m. Everyone's not up. We've got stuff to do.
Yeah.
What do we got to do? Pick the body part. Like, no.
Yeah.
We have a mission. We need to find Red Dwarf and we need to get me back to my place. Like, you feel like she needed to be this driving force.
Yeah, and she's not at all. She doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Like
she's pulling them together.
She's literally not. She has been given literally nothing to do.
It's by nature of the show as it's run, Lister is de facto leader.
And it doesn't work.
That's weird to me. Like, I don't think that...
That's not his place. Even after this long, he would never default to that place because that's still not him.
No. Even though he would probably be a good one, he doesn't want it.
He would step up. I think we've seen in previous episodes and previous series that he will step up if he needs to, but that's not where he wants to be.
Right. And it would have been great to see her come in and be a competent... And that's how I think you would make it different. She is the competent version of Rimmer.
Yes.
She's still like, let's get up. Let's do these things. Let's do it. Like Dave, we're the last two humans. Nuh-uh. Where's all my beer? I'm rationing it.
Yes.
You get 2 on Fridays.
Yes.
You get like, or whatever.
You can have a curry and 2 beers on a Friday. That's curry night.
Yeah, that's curry night.
Yes.
So what's tonight? Well, tonight is whatever salad. And you're like, like, but it would be competent. Like, and so I don't.
So it's kind of like that Queeg thing where he was rationing them like to the extreme, whereas she's like, I'm not going to ration you to the extreme, but I need you to be fit and healthy because we are the last 2 humans in the universe as far as we're aware, and then have some sort of conflict with that. But so odd.
It's a shame because it's like they were so afraid of the comparison. She kind of got nothing to do. And I have this memory that I feel like this improves moving forward because they just, they've got more. It's kind of like how Kat, they got him more to do after the first series or 2.
Yeah. Maybe they're still trying to find her place. We've brought her in because we know Rimmer's gone, but we're not quite sure what to do with her yet. Maybe we take another look at it next series and maybe we find her place.
And not that she's not because she is a female character.
No.
But they have alluded to the fact like she grew up posh, the finer things in life. Why don't her and Kat connect over fashion? Why don't I feel like there's something there, but it's like she doesn't exist except for like Lister and to annoy Crichton. But that would have been cool. I think that's the choice it should have been. And she is competent as hell, which they have shown in a couple moments when she's like, do this, do that. And she's a good navigation officer. So just let her. I think it's that, oh my God, I thought Rimmer made me nuts with all his stuff, but this is worse. But why? Because she actually knows what she's doing.
Yes.
So while half the time he was wrong, she's always right. Like that would be hysterical. And there's even a thing where if Dave wants to win her heart, there is like why with Rimmer, I want to tell him to smeg off. I want to impress her, but he keeps screwing up. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to me, that's like rife with comedy, like to happen in there. And instead, we replaced Rimmer, but didn't give her anything to do.
No. And I mean, the odd time, don't get me wrong, she's great. When they actually do give her something to do, like that whole bit when she's talking to Lister when he's down about missing her, and
Yeah.
Crichton goes to get the tape and he's like, oh, I've already sorted him. Like, she's great. She is really good. She just doesn't get anywhere. Like I say, I think they didn't want to bring a new character in. Hey, there's this whole thing with Kochanski. Why don't we bring Kochanski back? But we're not really sure what the hell to do with her.
Yeah, it's like finally getting rid of Holly, when it's like both Hollies you had were great in their own right, but you stopped giving them stuff to do.
Because they didn't need them. They're, like we talked about with having Crichton there, you didn't need a Holly at that point.
And right now you need a Holly because Crichton's worthless again for some reason.
It's really sad, actually. And when you were talking about Crichton being your favourite character, and I've always said, oh, Crichton, I don't mind him, but he's not my favourite character. And then you start to watch it come in and go, oh my God, he's brilliant.
Right.
And now he's completely gone back to, he's not, at this point, I would say he's not even as good as the original Crichton.
Oh no, on the Nova, our first actor on the Nova 5. Yeah, he is more like that. Like you said, him being a service mechanoid is, you would forget it until Rimmer called him out.
Yeah, that's his whole personality now. His whole personality is about making sure the salad cream's in the fridge, and the pants are in the pants drawer, and the socks are in the sock drawer, and the bras are getting ironed properly, and yeah, it's so odd.
So we held it off. I guess the big, well, we said the kiss. We love the kiss. We love the German jokes. The Rimmer experience ride is awesome.
I have to say, right, this reminds me of Confidence and Paranoia. And you're going to go, Confidence and Paranoia? How so?
With Craig Ferguson?
Yes.
And
do you not think in those flashbacks with the oranged skin and the bright white teeth that they look like his character in Confidence and Paranoia?
Absolutely. I wrote that down. I was like, the hero version of their makeup for that ride, especially Rimmer's, is awesome. Amazing.
Yeah, it's so brilliant. Good. Like, it's weird, isn't it? How you just change two tiny little things and they look weird.
Like bright white veneer style teeth and like...
Oh, so good. And we get the salute. I love that. But right, so I alluded to a noise that took me back to my childhood, and it's like a clickety-clack, that old school ghost train noise. I was like, that is awesome.
That whole bit is so good. I love the fact the Rimmer dolls had the 3 different variant uniforms of the green, the red, and the blue that we more recently had from series... Would there be 3 on? Yeah, from 3 to 6.
Yeah, because in the first 2 series, he just had his like second technician outfit on, didn't he?
Yeah. The whole bit is so good that I don't know what's going on with the rest of the episode. I feel like I'm reminded of like good leaders that I had in the professional creative world, who I would come with something like this, so excited to get to the Rimmer experience bit and be like, I'm so proud to walk you through this whole idea. And they would go, and I'd be deflated at the end when they go, that bit's great. Can you change all the rest of it?
Yes.
And I'd be frustrated, but then later the truth would be, oh, they were right. I did not have enough foundation for this really good thing. So why waste this good thing? Build a better foundation and then put this good thing with it.
That's all it needed. Like you said, like I've said at the beginning, the whole Lister missing Rimmer thing comes out of nowhere. And like you said, it doesn't feel like it's been long enough for him to be missing him as much as he feels like he is in this episode. And it
literally
felt like,
the duck soup was it. That was the one episode without him.
Yeah. So it needed a bit more lead-in, even if it was just this episode to have a bit more lead-in. But as I said at the beginning, it just comes out of nowhere.
And because Crichton is so he's such a punch. God, this is going to sound so weird. He tons of punchlines, but because the whole thing about him trying to break his programming and be more human, and that he looks up to Dave, is so central. I get the idea of him being jealous about Kochanski. The problem is that's just not something I think you can sustain multiple episodes.
No.
Right? Which is weird because we're talking about saying, oh, we love how Rimmer and Dave don't like, but there's several things like the idea of the odd couple that are so different. I mean, literally going back to the odd couple.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a classic trope. That's a great one to build off of. it's just, I think having watched Crichton grow so much and do this thing, that it's kind of odd, because this Rimmer experience he makes feels like a throwback to previous series Crichton, who's like, I have an idea. I'm going to try something that I think can work and experiment with. And it's odd because it doesn't feel like the Crichton we've been watching.
No, you're right. It really doesn't. Like he's, like I've said, just bothered about the laundry and keeping things clean. And then suddenly he's done this really creative. Yeah, it's so odd. Like I say, I feel like we've got this thing and it's hilarious. How do we incorporate this Rimmer experience thing into a whole episode? And they just didn't have, whether they didn't have time to flesh it out properly or take a couple of runs at it, maybe time-wise, it's like, that's the draft and that's it. We're just going to have to go with it. And they didn't have time to kind of do a few revisions or what, I don't know. But it's such an odd episode. But that being said, you will always remember a bad film with a great ending better than you will remember a great film with a bad ending.
Oh, as soon as we put it in, I couldn't wait to get to the kiss because I was just watching my wife's reaction. And her watching her reaction to the kiss was great. Like, because I put it in totally excited for this episode because I remember those two moments so well. And it really was on this second viewing that I was like, oh man, this is just a lot of not much else to go along with this.
It's jokes kind of all mixed together, but not mixed together well.
Yeah. And I know there was a complaint for some Red Dwarf fans that series 5 and 6 became like Adventure of the Week.
Yes.
It's more of a Doctor Who kind of thing. And I won't disagree. I mean, since they sort of shifted to like, we have to try to survive, it had an inherent drama in it, even if it went crazy. Like they were investigating something to help the ship. And that's when Rimmer got caught on terraform. And that's, when the creature that was in his mind made the terrible world around him. Like the setup for why they were there, the opening scene with Crichton all crashed and busted up. And it's hysterical. Remember he takes his hand off and
and it crawls back to the,
Right. And those were your cold opens before. This whole thing, purple alert, mauve alert, or whatever, and his vision going in and out and talking to his little meatball eyeball hand to go see Rimmer. And then a whole 5 minutes about Cat thinking...
The tarantula crawling up his leg,
It's crawling, like, it's like... So even though it's not connected necessarily, it's a cold open, it still ties in so well. There was definitely something to the adventure of the week, the idea of getting to Gunmen of the Apocalypse and stuff that we have this through that we're going for. So everything in the episode needs to support it. This is the reverse where we've got this thing we're going toward, but it's not an idea of like Crichton in the Wild West. It's literally a punchline.
Yeah, that's it.
That we're trying to get to.
Yeah, 100%.
And they already did one of those with Queeg that was so good.
It was, because that, like, if you wanted to show someone an episode of Red Dwarf where literally that, right? We have a punchline. This is how we get to it. This is the episode, the benchmark for how you end with a punchline and the perfect way of getting from there to that punchline, because that episode is probably still the best episode of Red Dwarf, in my opinion, at least.
And the reason it's so good too is it's played so serious. The first time I watched it, when it came to like Holly being out, I thought he was done.
Yeah.
I don't know this show, like it's in America, we very much always reset back to status quo.
And then at the time watching it, you had no idea what order you were watching them in as well.
No. So I'm like, oh no. Like, so they played that serious, which is why that worked so well as a punchline.
And Norman Lovett was awesome as Holly, he really was.
But them playing that so serious, that's my problem to loop back to when the beginning of Kachansky should hate this crew. The way it's going right now,
but
because they are screwing up.
Indifferent to it all.
She does. He feels so indifferent. Like, oh my God, why is this episode about the whiny man missing his best friend and not about the lady who's missing her entire life?
I mean, that's very that's very true.
And that thought literally just came into my mind.
You're right.
But
exactly. Why should Lister be getting all the nice treatment when he's just lost one person? She's lost everyone in her entire life.
Yeah, she's helping him, and there's not even a realization of him being like, look, I feel like a previous series, Lister would say, thanks, Chris. I needed that. Look at you helping me out when you're in such a worse situation. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like Lister of last series would have said that.
Yes.
Not series 1 or 2, but like series 4, 5, 6 Lister. Like we're kind of missing his heart of gold there too. Yeah. These are all things that I feel like if you sat around talking, I don't know.
You've seen it a little bit with him when he like cleaned out that thing and made the bubble bath and got all the candles and found the dress and stuff. A little bit. But other than that, he doesn't seem to care that she's not. But then he doesn't... It's also not played that he doesn't care that she hasn't gone back because he has this massive crush on her. He feels largely indifferent to her as well, to be fair. It's so odd. The relationships it's just weird.
And now that I've said it, I can't get away from it. If they had made her the competent Rimmer so that he was like, hell yes, I've got a second chance. Kachansky's here. And instead, within 2 episodes, he's like, I kind of wish she would. Let's get her back. Let's help get her back. Do you know what I mean? If that would have been that would have been a hysterical switch. Whereas if he was working just as hard to get her away too, you know, and
so
to use a classic sitcom, you go to like the sort of a will they won't they of Cheers. You know, like there's parts here to make something just as strong as I think that is part of the problem. If it were just flat bad, you just be like, all right, can we skip through these?
Yeah.
And just, you know, but it's not. There's parts there that this could be just as good as the other stuff.
I'm starting to see why a lot of fans don't like this series specifically, which is so sad because, like I say, I started off quite enjoying them and like was excited to see where it was going to go, and now I'm like, oh my god, I don't even know if I want to watch the last 2.
Well, and the moments of like feeling like the old are like Crichton talking to Lister being like, I got rid of all the lingerie and with the exception
lingerie
of
database, yeah.
Yeah, unless you want to dress up. I didn't think I'd run into it unless you were going to do a holiday party as Herman Goering.
Yeah.
Or the previous episode, whichever one with the knights, is that a series episode 3 or 4, but of Lister going into the video game and being a knight. And be like,
that was the one where Rimmer. That was the one where Rimmer went off to be Ace.
Yep, Ace. Oh, right. To be Ace, but to be like, I'm Sir Lister of Smeg. Like that moment feels like old Red Dwarf.
Yeah,
but we're getting itty bitty glimpses. And I will say, the Rimmer experience, spot on.
Yeah, so good. Like that song. Like we don't get many songs in Red Dwarf, but you know, Tongue Tied and this. Oh, there's some bangers in there.
God, this was a weird one. I didn't know what we were going to talk about.
No, I didn't know. I certainly didn't expect. Like I said to you, I've got a ton of notes, which I haven't got to most of them, but I'm kind of happy that we didn't. It's been nice to have kind of an existential conversation about this episode that we haven't really done in a long time.
No, we haven't. And what's weird is in the previous ones, it was more like, I think I liked this and there's more to it than I realized. And in this one, I'm like, oh no, I think this is worse than I remembered. I remember this being fine. Maybe I was so excited to finally see any new Red Dwarf, I didn't care. Yeah. But there's just, again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. I'll reread my note. It is a dangerous concept to keep referencing how fun things were when Rimmer was there.
Yeah.
But it's why would you do that?
Yeah, imagine you were the new crew member and all you're hearing is, oh, it was so much better when Rimmer was here.
Or even just being Doug Naylor going, I have to move on from Rimmer. People are going to be frustrated, I know.
But I'm not going to.
Why don't I make a whole episode about how bad it is without Rimmer?
So strange. So then that leads to the question then, Blake. What are you giving it out of 10? Oh, it's a tough one. I haven't actually rated it yet.
I'm going to quote, that's funny, I didn't either. I'm staring at I'm going to quote an IMDb user review headline that I saw it and went, yeah, that's
I'm intrigued now.
That's actually brilliant. One moment of brilliant comedic timing in a pretty uneven half hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is a really short way to say what we said in a long way. I will give it a 5 out of 10 with all 5 points being about that kiss.
See, I'm going to cheat on this episode and I'm going to give it a 5.5. And that half is purely just for the Rimmer experience at the end. Otherwise,
the
it was
Kiss
a
of the Rimmer
5.
experience, I'll give it the 5 because otherwise, I gotta say it's pretty low for
It
me.
really
It's like a
is.
2.
Yeah.
It's a 2 until that moment.
Yeah, it's
Like-
not a good, and like talking about it even more has made you realize, like, pick all the holes in it even more. And again, we're not watching Red Dwarf, a perfectly written sci-fi, narrative, but
And with full qualifiers, like we mentioned before, we have no idea what constraints
No.
we're under doing this. No one sets out to do something that's not as good as the previous thing. But it is a shame because you feel like with a little bit more time of baking these ideas, I think they're good. The concepts feel like they'd be good.
yeah. And look, the argument is it in the long term, it obviously didn't do Red Dwarf any harm because we got like another 5 series after this. So,
Yeah.
Well, that will bring us to the end of this podcast. I have really enjoyed this one. I did not expect to have the deep conversation about this episode that we have had.
I agree completely. This convo caught me a little off guard. I wasn't quite sure how this was going to go.
So in between episodes, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dwarf Memory. I did post some videos from the Rimmer experience on our Instagram stories this weekend when I was watching them. So Facebook and Instagram at Dwarf Memory and Twitter at Dwarf_Memory for all show updates and other random little bits when I am watching these episodes to get ready.
Please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you can, and email us your comments at dwarfmemory@gmail.com. If anyone knows how to get us into the official Red Dwarf con, isn't that July 19th of next year?
Next year, is it?
Let us know.
Yeah, the next episode we will be discussing will be the 6th episode of Series 7, which is episode 6, Beyond a Choke, which... that title might be a little more on the nose than it should be, but okay.
Again, dangerous to name yourself something like that.
So make sure to watch before you join us for that episode. I never want to see or hear from that scum-sucking, lying, weasel-minded smegger in my entire life.
Sigmund Freud, eat your heart out.